Does he still admire the basic Chinese communist dictatorship as he so profusely said he did several years ago? Yes or no?
Welcome back to the channel, everyone. I'm Cypher.
And I'm Fox. Before we get started, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring that notification bell so you don't miss our next video.
We returned to question period today, and Pierre was pulling no punches at all when he went after Trudeau. This time with his love affair with dictatorships.
Mr. Speaker, this is a serious issue that affects the lives of everyday people. Canadians of Chinese descent have been targeted for abuse in their own country, including right under the nose of the Prime Minister. There have been police stations set up by a foreign government in our country. He's done absolutely nothing about it. We need to know why it is he's done nothing about it. Can he tell us how many diplomats from the Chinese embassy and consulate has he expelled since learning about these police stations? How many?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Speaker, the selective partisan memory of the Leader of the Opposition is quite openly on display right now. It was just a few months ago where they were criticizing me for standing up directly to President Xi Jinping as I talked about the impacts of foreign interference in our government, in our country. I will continue to ensure that we're holding to account anyone who engages in illegal actions in Canada, including in foreign interference. We have never hesitated to take action where and when necessary, and we will continue to.
Are you referring to the time when you got absolutely owned on the international stage, Trudeau? Is that the time you're referring to? Of course you were criticized because you made yourself in Canada look like an ass.
Everything we discuss is then leaked to the paper. That's not appropriate. If there is sincerity on your part,
free and open and frank dialogue, and that is what we will continue to have. We will continue to look to work constructively together, but there will be things we will disagree on, and we will have to continue.
Let's create the conditions first.
Of course you're going to get criticized for that.
Not only that, but recently, I believe it was Australia, Great Britain, and the US had a security summit, and guess who wasn't invited? That's right, Canada, because they can't trust our Prime Minister anymore. They don't know what team he plays for.
Well, and they also know that he leaks things to the media, which is what the criticism was for in the first place. And it was completely inappropriate. And you got owned. You got owned on the international stage. And it was just one more embarrassment notch on your belt for Canada. And we need to get rid of him.
Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
He won't answer how many diplomats he's kicked out because the answer is zero. Even as they open police stations in our country, he won't answer that question. He won't answer whether there are members of his existing cabinet and caucus who've been implicated in foreign interference. He won't answer whether his staff has been briefed about that interference. He won't answer even whether his party received illegal money directly from the foreign dictatorship in Beijing. He won't answer any of these questions, which is exactly why we need an independent inquiry that can compel his testimony. Will he call it now?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
That was awesome, Pierre. You stated all the facts, all of the dodging, all of the questions that he refuses to answer, and you are 100% on point. That is exactly why a public inquiry is needed, and it's exactly why he needs to be compelled to answer these questions.
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the excessive partisanship we're seeing and this issue that is extremely serious and extremely important to Canadians.
I'm sorry, you can't say it's partisan when every other party in the House is calling on you to do it.
It's just a defense. It's the only defense he has, and it's not even much of a defense at that. You know, Justin needs to put aside this persecution complex about how, oh, this is partisan, that is partisan. You need to stop working in your own best interest and start working in the interest of Canadians.
Is exactly why we have chosen to appoint an independent expert to make the determination on how we can best reassure Canadians and ensure that our government and our institutions are doing everything to protect our democracy. That is exactly what we are doing. And we have seen experts say a public inquiry is necessary. We've seen other experts say it wouldn't get to the truth. That's why an independent expert will make that determination.
Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
So, some independent experts have said that a public inquiry is necessary. Other experts says it wouldn't get to the truth. So we're going to listen to them. And by independent, we mean completely independent in that the person will only be chosen by the Liberals and have no other party feedback. Completely independent, though.
He's blocking a public inquiry which would compel him to give answers. His members are blocking an investigation here at Parliament. He won't answer questions on the floor of the House of Commons. He's even got a bill that would allow him to censor the internet.
Bill C-11.
To censor channels like The Northern Perspective.
It's almost as if he admires the basic Chinese communist dictatorship. Will he tell us, does he still admire the basic Chinese communist dictatorship as he so profusely said he did several years ago? Yes or no?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
There's a level of admiration I actually have for China. Because their basic dictatorship is allowing them to actually turn their economy around on a dime and say we need to go green as fast as we need to start investing in solar. I mean, there is a flexibility that I know Stephen Harper must dream about of having a dictatorship that he could do everything he wanted that I find quite interesting.
Get ready for another non-answer.
Wow, Pierre, that's getting a little personal now, and I love it. I love it because these are the questions that need to be asked, and they need to be blunt, they need to be direct, and they need to be answered. Although Fox is right, we're probably going to get another non-answer here.
Mr. Speaker, we're clearly seeing once again that the Leader of the Opposition is simply not serious in his approach in reassuring Canadians about institutions, about our democracy, about the integrity of our elections.
There's a difference between reassuring Canadians and outright lying to Canadians, which is what you're doing, Trudeau.
He's not only outright lying, he's essentially trying to ignore everything and then call you racist if you ask him any questions.
I seriously think at that initial news conference that Trudeau thought he could just call us all racists and it would go away.
Let me start by being very, very clear. One of the things we've seen, unfortunately, over the past years is a rise in anti-Asian racism.
But it didn't. And here we are.
Yep. And now he's getting cornered. And this independent investigation, he probably thinks is his only out now. And it's going to take, sorry everybody, Jagmeet Singh and the NDP, they're the only ones that can stop this. Or we have another 2 years of Trudeau before the next election.
That is why, Mr. Speaker, we are proposing significant and serious steps and mechanisms to make sure that independently and with expert advice, the right answers are being sought and the right answers are being shared with Canadians. That is not our answers. Those are not their answers. It is answers determined by independent panels of experts tasked with protecting our democracy.
We don't need your definition of right answers, Trudeau. We need the truth. Not watered down, not politicized. We just need the truth. We need what happened, when it happened, and who it happened to. And it doesn't matter if it happened to Conservatives, happened to NDP, happened to Liberals, doesn't matter who. We just need to know who, and then deal with those people and lock them up.
This is the thing that bothers me. I knew a Conservative MP, and he was a good man, and one thing he would often say is, we don't just work for the Canadians that voted for us, we work for all Canadians. And in this sense, Trudeau is doing what's in his best interest, what's in the best interest of his party, and maybe even in the best interest of the people who voted Liberal. And screw the rest of us. The rest of us can all go rot.
Well, and he's showing his, high society narcissism here again, the same narcissism that was on display when we were talking about Bill C-11, where, he and his party, they're the only ones that seem to know what the answers and what type of information Canadians deserve. He seems to forget that they work for us. Regardless of who voted for him, we pay your salaries. There is a term called public servants. You serve the public. The public doesn't serve you.
I find it very interesting that it seems like conservatives and liberals are kind of like flipping sides. Years and years ago, everybody thought that the conservatives were for big industry and big companies, and they were the ones tightening the noose around your neck in terms of government control. And here it is that the liberals, look at the word liberal, it means free. The liberals are the ones that are exerting more government control and trying to exert even more government control on the citizenry. It's just mind-blowing to me.
It's just an example of how left-wing politics can go too far. They're threatening free speech. They're threatening freedom of thought. They're threatening freedom of choice. They're threatening essentially our intellectual freedom across the board. And most Canadians don't even realize it.
And they're threatening the freedom of Canadians to choose their own government. If we don't have that freedom, what freedom do we have?